Kansas City won the toss. They have elected to receive. Matt Prater to kick off, and most of the kickoffs here in Denver at 5,280 feet wind up out of the end zone. Quentin Demps is back to try to return it. If Prater doesn't hit it perfectly, because as we say in Denver here, about 80% of the kickoffs wind up in the end zone. You saw Jack Del Rio. There is Andy Reid. After 14 seasons in Philadelphia, undefeated as the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. And away we go from the Mile High City with a touchback. And right off the bat, let's take a look at the Kansas City starters.
Alex Smith, Utah. Jamal Charles, Texas. Dwayne Bowe, LSU. Donnie Every, Houston. Dexter McCluster, Ole Miss Rebels.
Anthony Fasano, Notre Dame.
Brandon Albert, Virginia.
Jeff Allen, Illinois.
Rodney Hudson, Florida State.
John Asamoah, Illinois.
Eric Fisher, Central Michigan.
KC offense, Chris talking about it. Low risk. Don't score a lot of points, but almost never turn the ball over. Andy Reid loves what's known as the West Coast offense, and Smith knows how to run it. And before we can even start, you've got so much noise in here.
Offense, number 76, third penalty, first down.
That's the way it begins. John Parry with the call, making it first down and 15. Alex Smith, last year, starting the season in San Francisco before sustaining a concussion. And as you can see, Kaepernick took over, but since the beginning of the 2011 season, 28-5-1 as a starting quarterback, and only Peyton Manning over that period of time has a better record. So on 1st and 15, they give it to Charles, who averages almost 6 yards per carry. He'll take it up to the 18-yard line. He's such a vital part of this offense, Chris. Not only running the ball, but receiving. He is their leading receiver as well as rusher, and he's second in the league in yards per scrimmage coming into the game.
Yeah, had a great year last year, but he was telling us he never felt right all season. Had to stay on medication all year, but came back this season. They did a great job with his rehab, and he feels great. No medication this year.
Come up here with two backs, and the pass is low and incomplete, intended for Dwayne Bowe. Covered there by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. It'll be 3rd down and 12.
Well, one of the matchups we'll see right off the bat over here. Eric Fisher, remember that name, the #1 overall pick, going against Sean Phillips. Struggled earlier in the season. When I was watching him then, I was thinking, wait a minute, that's the #1 overall pick, but he has definitely improved, coming off his best game.
In Denver, in the old stadium, and in this one as well, because they've built in some give, and that's why the camera will shake a lot. These people are stamping their feet, and you feel the vibrations all over the stadium. 3rd down and 12, and that pass is incomplete behind Jamal Charles. So just what the crowd wanted. They got a false start, then it's a very fast 3 and out. And 45 seconds into the game, the Kansas City Chiefs will punt.
Well, a very nervous beginning for the Kansas City Chiefs. Hard to say it any other way. You jump off sides. You can't even complete a screen pass. This is a team that needs to come in and prove to themselves that they belong out here with the Denver Broncos and have some success early.
Dustin Colquitt to punt. His brother is the Denver punter. And Trindon Holiday back to run it back. It's a low line drive kick. And Holiday will field it on a hop from the 36-yard line. And he's forced out of bounds up at the 47-yard line. So good field position for the Broncos. And here comes Manning as we take a look at their offense.
Peyton Manning, University of Tennessee.
Sean Moreno, Georgia.
Demarius Thomas, Georgia Tech.
Eric Decker, Minnesota.
Wes Welker, Texas Tech.
Julius Thomas, Portland State University.
Chris Clark, Southern Miss.
Zane Beatles, Utah. Go Utes.
Manny Ramirez, Texas Tech.
Luis Vasquez, Texas Tech.
Orlando Franklin, the U, by way of Toronto, Canada.
So here go the Broncos, only huddling on 1st down on a change of possession. Sean Moreno takes it across the 50. Manning will bring him right up to the line. After a gain of 5, it'll be 2nd down and 5.
And the Kansas City Chiefs defensively come right out with their dime defense, which means Eric Berry, number 29, is in the linebacker position right here. They ran right at him on first down.
Off play action, Manning backing up, and that's knocked down as he tried to get a screen pass away. Mike DeVito got his hands on it. It'll be 3rd down and 5. When Peyton Manning in his career has faced a team that has a 9-game winning streak or better, 0-4. So he's faced with that situation tonight against Kansas City. 3rd and 5 from the Chief 48. Manning in the pocket. Checks it down and winds up hitting Demaryius Thomas. And he gets tackled after he picks up the first down by Sean Smith.
There's no doubt about it that Chris Clark here on the outside, who took over for Ryan Clady, is going to have his hands full. And that time he had his hands around the neck of Tamba Ali, and it was good enough.
Won't be the last time we'll see that. On first down, Manning. Great protection. Flag is thrown. Pass intended for Demaryius Thomas. You had Sean Smith covering on the play. And the penalty's going to go against the Chiefs.
Prior to the pass being thrown, holding, defense, the 27, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Yeah.
Anytime you play against Denver, you have to cover all these receivers. You see the little hook right there at the top end of that route. Here's Peyton Manning. Let's take a look at this ankle, see how he's doing. Oh, looks okay.
To this point. Whoa. And on first down, a hard shot taken by Moreno by Derek Johnson. Outstanding 9th-year linebacker out of Texas. Picked him number 1 back in 2005.
Peyton Manning already into that hyper-paced offense now. They think that's the key to wear this Chiefs defense down.
2nd and 9, blitz coming, and Manning hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete. Let's take a look at that Kansas City defense.
Tyson Jackson, LSU. Tari Poe, Memphis.
Justin Houston, Georgia.
Akeem Jordan, James Madison.
Derek Johnson, Texas.
Tamba Ali, Penn State. Marcus Cooper, Rutgers, Blue-Foot High.
Brandon Flowers, Virginia Tech.
Eric Berry, Tennessee.
Kendrick Lewis, Ole Miss.
Sean Smith, Pasadena.
Best defense in the league in terms of points allowed are the Kansas City Chiefs. It's 3rd down and 9. And the pass is incomplete. Chiefs looked like they were lined up in a spread defense that time.
Yeah, and this is the play that you have to stop with the Denver Broncos. They have made a million miles of offense out of this quick screen to the outside. Just try and come out and block and bring Thomas back underneath. That time it was played perfectly by Kansas City. You know they spent all week on that one. We're going to get a long field goal right off the bat here.
54-yard attempt for Matt Prater at altitude. So very makeable. And Prater's kick is very makeable. 54-yard field goal by Prater opens up the scoring on Sunday Night Football. Denver 3, Kansas City nothing. Prater kicking a 54-yard field goal that was good by about 10 yards. That's 19 of 24 lifetime for Prater from 50 or more. And Prater, whose first kickoff resulted in a touchback, is now 2 for 2 in that department. Let's take a look right now at the Bronco defense.
Derek Wolf, Cincinnati. Kevin Vickerson, Michigan State, Spartan Dogs. Terrence Knighton, Temple Owls.
Sean Phillips,
Boilermakers.
Vaughn Miller, Texas A&M.
Wesley Woodyard, Kentucky.
Danny Trevathan, Kentucky. Chris Harris, Kansas University.
Dookie Inacho, San Jose State.
Raheem the Dream Moore, UCLA.
Dominic Rogers-Camarda, Tennessee State.
Jack Del Rio, the interim head coach, but he has a lot of head coaching experience, 9 years with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That fire there came over here under John Fox as the defensive coordinator, and right now calling the plays as Anthony Sherman makes the catch, the fullback. At least he's calling the defensive plays. Danny Trevathan with the tackle.
Well, one of the great decoys in all of football is Jamal Charles. I thought this was a great call here. because you have to establish to the Denver Broncos defense that you are going to throw the ball, that they can't just play the run on first down. And so they're opening up a bit here for Kansas City.
Anthony Sherman coming over in a trade with Arizona. A lot of guys picked up on waivers and in trades by KC as they revamp the roster. The running back is McCluster. They send him out. Pass deep downfield, and it is not caught at the 32. Donnie Avery was there, had it for the moment, and put it on the ground, and the pass is incomplete.
I cannot tell you how good a throw this was. This was a back shoulder about 30 yards down the field. If he had led Avery with this one, it would have been intercepted, threw it to his back shoulder, perfectly thrown, and a play the Kansas City Chiefs and Donnie Avery have to make tonight.
You got to maintain possession all the way through. Contact with the ground, he did not. So it's 2nd down and 10. Niall Davis is the running back. He is a rookie out of Arkansas, drafted in the 3rd round. And Smith down the right side and incomplete. Intended that time for the backup tight end Sean McGrath. It'll be 3rd down and 10 for Kansas City.
Well, they're not being shy now, are they? They're coming out and firing this thing around a little bit. And I think that's the right thing. Ultimately, sometimes it's easier to get back to your running game after you've been able to prove that you are going to throw the ball. So even if this drive doesn't work out so well, they have at least established what they're willing to do against the Broncos.
And there's the stamping of the feet in the stands, and our camera's shaking because of it. Smith has started the game 1 out of 5. Play clock at 1. 3rd and 10. Pressure on. He gets sacked. Sean Phillips, so many good years in San Diego and now having a great year. That's 8.5 sacks for Phillips in his first year as a Bronco.
All right, here we're going to bring the pressure. They get away with the man coverage on the back end because the pressure gets there. John Asamoah that time got beat inside quickly. Phillips around the outside, able to get there as well.
Dustin Colquitt to kick. Trendon Holiday, always a threat to run it back, but he's had fumbling problems of late. Sets up at his own 25-yard line, and punt nearly blocked. Juggled, there it is again, as Holiday having trouble holding onto the ball. And he possesses it at the 27-yard line. That's where Denver will take over on their 2nd possession. From the 27-yard line, Denver begins its 2nd possession with a handoff to Moreno, who picks up 4 to the 31. Very interesting case is one Noshan Moreno, picked in the 1st round in 09, 5th year out of Georgia. Looked like he was going to be a bust. Last year didn't even suit up for 8 games, but he hung in there, stayed with it. McGahee not brought back. Ronnie Hillman had fumbling issues. They drafted Monte Ball. Meanwhile, Mike DeVito, holding his knee, is down on the ground, and we have an injury timeout. DeVito able to walk off. There he is, looks fine along the sideline. He'll have to come out, of course, for at least 1 play. And meanwhile, during that play, Brandon Flowers and Wes Welker.
Brandon said, I don't know if you know, but we're the #1 defense. I know everybody on your team has 9 touchdown passes, but it's going to be a game tonight here, okay, Wes?
2nd down and 7 as play resumes from the 30-yard line. And Manning throws, and it's incomplete, and Thomas looks around for a flag. You got Sean Smith covering on the play. There is no flag. It's 3rd down and 7. When it comes to converting on 3rd downs, the Broncos are the best in the league at almost 50%, and the Chiefs are the stingiest in the league, allowing only a 3rd down once every 4 3rd down chances for the opposition. So you got the best against the best here, as is the case with so many situations tonight with the Bronco offense and the Kansas City defense on a lot of levels.
Here's where Peyton Manning has to be careful. This is pure pass rush mode now for Kansas City, and they are outstanding.
7 defensive backs in the game. Peyton has started 1 for 5, and Denver's going to take a timeout. Well, Jack Del Rio and the offensive coordinator is Adam Gase, and there it is, that very heavily taped right ankle, and that's I guess the classic right ankle sprain.
Yeah, the high ankle sprain, basically, low ankle sprains usually on the outside, lower, and the high ankle sprain ends up being up on the shin a bit there. And so far tonight, Peyton Manning hasn't taken a shot on that leg. He looks pretty good moving around. We were kind of joking with him after watching practice. They're running bootlegs and sprint outs. I said, "What are you, Michael Vick here? I thought you're supposed to have a bad ankle here tonight." So, but anybody that's had this injury knows if you get hit on it, there's a pretty good chance it's going to happen again and be worse. So the Chiefs right now would love to get a couple of shots on number 18.
You saw Adam Gase, the offensive coordinator. Last year, Mike McCoy was the offensive coordinator, and that led to the San Diego head coaching job. 3rd and 7 after the timeout, and Manning slings it to the outside, and it is caught, but stopped short of the first down as Welker. Hussein Abdullah was there to make sure he did not reach that first down mark.
Well, first of all, Brandon Flowers is going to lose the coverage. Abdullah is going to make the play, but watch Flowers. This last hit really kept Welker from reaching for that first down and forced the punt team out. So not a bad start for this number 1 rated Kansas City Chiefs defense.
And Britton Colquitt to kick. Both teams' special teams are very good. McCluster fields it to 23. Tries to get around the corner and then is forced out of bounds into the Broncos bench up at the 37-yard line. Smith goes back to work in Denver. 3-0 Broncos. Clark Hunt, son of the late Lamar Hunt, the founder of this franchise, and the Chiefs rebuilt over the offseason. John Dorsey comes in as the GM. Andy Reid just before that hired as the head coach. They had 6 Pro Bowlers last year despite a 2-14 mark, so you knew they had some talent. The trade for Alex Smith with San Francisco, with Kaepernick taking over there. Smith was available. 32 new players, 32 of the 53. There's Reid, there's John Dorsey, longtime front office man in Green Bay. And that's how the Chiefs have gotten rebuilt, and they're 9-0 right now. And on first down, Jamal Charles swings it to the outside. And it's a gain of about 3. Andy Reid, 14 years in Philadelphia, and you could see it toward the end of last season. You knew that that was going to be it. You knew the end was near. A lot of people felt that Andy just needed some time off because of what happened in Philadelphia. Family issues, of course, with his sons and all of that. Andy said he never even thought about that. He knew he loved coaching too much. He says, "I love to come to work every day." There was never a moment when he thought he was going to take some time off. 2nd and 7. And this is Jamal Charles. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. A guy averaging almost 6 yards per carry. Tackled by Woodyard and Knighton. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
There we go. There's Von Miller on the outside, and he just jumps right inside Fisher to force that play back inside to his defense. So now once again, the Chiefs in a 3rd and long situation, not their strength.
Four-man rush. Smith sidesteps to his left, and the pass is deflected by Malik Jackson, number 97. He knocks it down. And it'll be 4th down and 6, and Alex Smith has started the game 1 for 6.
On the outside one more time, Von Miller coming against Fisher. Not bad that time by Eric Fisher. So Malik Jackson, though, one of those guys, young player, 2nd year, that really is starting to grow into his position here.
Dustin Colquitt ready to send it down toward Holiday, who juggled the last punt. This one is going to let it bounce. And it's a beautiful kick that will be downed at the 3-yard line with 8:18 to play in the opening quarter. 3-0 Broncos. As the Broncos take over at their own 3-yard line. Manning is 2 for his first 6 for 12 yards. Moreno to try to give them some breathing space, and was able to get the ball out to the 6-yard line. You know, there is one of the 6 Pro Bowlers from last season, Tamba Hali, with 9 sacks, 2 return touchdowns this season, 4 forced fumbles, and Justin Houston on the other side with 11 sacks. So those 2 guys with 20 of the team's 36 sacks.
And probably the weakness for the Broncos, pass blocking from their offensive tackle. So that's the matchup.
Keep it on the ground again, and Moreno gets tackled up at the 9-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 4 as we approach the halfway mark of the opening quarter.
Moreno has really become the trusted back for Peyton Manning, not just running the football, but pass blocking as well.
Come up for the first time now in the pistol.
This is the Wes Welker, Brandon Flowers matchup right down there. You've got to watch that one. That's always the first down play typically.
Now out of the pistol to a shotgun. And the pass is back shouldered by Wes Welker. So he beats Brandon Flowers on that play, and they pick up a first down.
Well, a great job on the pick on the outside without really making contact himself. Demarius Thomas was able to force Flowers out and around to give Peyton Manning just enough room to get that one in.
Quick snap from the 18-yard line with Manning under center, handing the ball to Moreno, takes it out to the 22-yard line.
Well, one of the big guys inside, Dontari Poe, right here, has really become a bit of a force inside. And the remarkable part about him is he never comes off the field. I mean, this guy is just amazing at his conditioning for a guy that weighs 350, 360 pounds.
2nd and 7. DeVito is back in the game. He was shaken up in the last series. Nice run there by Monte Ball. He was their #1 or #2 draft choice out of Wisconsin. And again, we talked about Moreno before, and you know, was Moreno going to ever emerge? And he has this year. And Ball seeing some spot duty.
I don't know how he made Derek Johnson miss on that play. He couldn't have seen him and somehow reacted to that quick blitz.
3rd down and
1. Look at the Chiefs. They're just sitting there. They are not going to react to Peyton Manning tonight. They're going to let him do all that stuff and just play their defense.
And a fumble. And Kansas City has it. And this is Derek Johnson taking it inside the 20. So that KC defense, so good at forcing turnovers. #1 in the league in give-take differential, forces one here with the fumble by Ball on a 3rd and 1.
Well, Monte Ball had some fumbling issues early in the year, had not fumbled since about the 2nd or 3rd game, but gives it up big here, and that's the kind of trust I'm talking about. The guy that Peyton Manning believes in the most is no Sean Moreno. Ronnie Hillman's already been demoted for fumbling, and now Monte Ball with it back on the ground, just a miscommunication with Peyton Manning.
And Peyton Manning will get credit for that tackle. From the 18-yard line. Kansas City with a golden chance. Smith with a ton of time, drops it off to the fullback. Sherman makes his 2nd catch. The ball is out, and Denver has it. So Ball fumbles, and then it comes right back to Denver with Quentin Jammer winding up with the football. So Manning right back to work. Huge break for the Broncos. There's a guy making a big mark, Danny Trevathan, number 59, the linebacker, and we go back to the fumble.
He just flies around. He's in coverage on Jamal Charles, follows Charles to the outside, and basically gets a free shot on the ball. We have seen him make so many big plays for this defense this season, and Quentin Jammer, a big first hit and recovered the football. But what a week it's been for Danny Trevathan. Proud papa now as well.
Wife gave birth to a baby daughter on Thursday. He was there for the celebration. First down from the 16-yard line as Moreno picks up about a yard, maybe 2. Justin Houston makes the tackle. And there's Danny. And let's take a look at Denor Luis Trevathan.
I love the line he had. We were asking about it. He said, I was trying to keep my composure during the birth. I was starting to cry, and I was like, come on, man, you're a linebacker. You can't be doing this stuff. Believe me, we've all been there, partner.
Second down and 8 for the Broncos from the 18-yard line. Under 5 to play in the opening quarter. Moreno will take the ball out to the 21. Poe making the stop there. Third down and 5 for Denver.
You know, at least so far, you have to say this game is going Kansas City's way. You know, forget the score for a minute. Just the fact that they've been able to play with this fast-paced offense so far. Usually the Broncos are rolling at this point.
Yeah, the Broncos have run 17 plays for only 50 yards.
This is another big third down right here. They could hold them after that turnover.
And Manning going deep downfield, and it's caught on the run by Demaryius Thomas. And Thomas gets forced out of bounds at the 10-yard line. Demaryius Thomas down the right sideline. He threw it over the rookie Marcus Cooper with the coverage on the play. And he takes the ball 69 yards.
Chiefs love to play pressure on the outside, man-to-man across the field. And unfortunately for Marcus Cooper, he came over from the 49ers after they waived him. He has been the target for almost all offenses in the man-to-man coverage. You want to question Peyton Manning and his arm? No issue there.
First and goal from the 9. That's Moreno taken down by Houston. Talking about the matchups all night long, offense against defense. You go to the red zone. The Chiefs are the best in the league at stopping the opposition. The Broncos, the best in the league at scoring. Scoring touchdowns on 4 of every 5 possessions in the red zone.
Watch these crazy in and out routes, pick plays, all the things that they love down here in the red zone.
50 seconds, Mike. Move, Mike. Hurry, set.
Manning throwing on a slant, caught. Julius Thomas for the touchdown.
Well, that is the first tight end all season to score a touchdown against the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Their star defender, Eric Berry, against the Broncos star, Julius Thomas. And at least so far, Julius Thomas getting the better, and these receivers are as well.
Well, Julius Thomas, we saw him on opening night against Baltimore, score 2 touchdowns. He now has 10 touchdowns this season. Matt Prater for the point after. And Denver able to cash in on the Kansas City fumble. 10-0 Broncos. Well, they have 4 guys, do the Broncos, who've scored 9 or more touchdowns, and that's the 10th for him, tying Shannon Sharp. Most by a tight end in a season in Broncos history, and of course he still has a good part of the season to go. Peyton Manning, 34th touchdown pass. He is on a pace right now to break Tom Brady's mark of 50 in a season. He's on a pace to break a lot of marks.
Our graphics department tonight may get worn out. Everything's a record that they do.
And Prater's kickoff, per usual, results in a touchback. Well, through his career, the magic number is 21, blackjack. Teams scoring fewer than 21 points, facing Manning 4 and 105. But if you can score 21 or more, you have a chance to win the game. But 4 and 105 if you score fewer than 21.
Pretty tough, that guy. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe they've only been above 30 points once all season. And this is the first time all year they've been behind by 9 or more points. So now we get to see what will happen. So far, they've missed big opportunities. Couldn't take advantage of the turnover, drop passes. They've got to be better.
Kevin Vickerson came across the line.
Encroachment, defense, number 99. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, there's Andy Reid. And for Andy, he comes in, and, you know, it's funny. We saw him at the end of last year, and I think everybody thought he needed some time off, but this has certainly been a refresher for him.
I think it re-energized him, and he was ready for it. And he said, when the Hunt family calls, you go.
Yep. One of the founding families in the league, and to the outside goes Charles, who gets taken down behind the line of scrimmage by Phillips.
You know, Jamal Charles is a guy that ran 10-200 meters in the Nationals of the NCAA. And yet when you look at the linebackers, Danny Trevathan and Wesley Woodyard and Von Miller, these guys can run. It's hard to get outside against this defense, and that's really what Jamal Charles does best.
2nd and 8. And Smith throwing a little high and incomplete, intended for Bo, but there is a flag in that area. Chris Harris with the coverage. John Parry, the referee.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 25. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's Harris.
Well, Dwayne Bowe does a little double move, and on the back end of it, you're going to see Chris Harris grab him so that he didn't get beat on the double move right there. At the very least, that's illegal contact, even if it's not holding. So a big break there for the Chiefs.
Go to the bench for a moment. First down from the 27-yard line. Smith, 2 of his first 7 for 19 yards. And on the ground, they've gained only 4 yards. Off the fake, wide open at the 40, and making the catch and taking it to the 46 is the second tight end, Sean McGrath. Gain of 19.
Well, one of the things they can do with Dexter McCluster is bring him back into motion into the backfield and use some things. There's the read option that Alex Smith used to run in college, and just throw a couple of new looks at them. They know they want to run the football, but so far tonight the Chiefs are proving they're willing to use their running game as a way to set up their passing game, and now they look a little more settled than what they were early in this one.
They had only 16 total yards in their first 12 plays. That play was good for 19. Tip caught midfield by Anthony Fasano, the number 1 tight end, and that'll be a gain of 4 yards.
It was interesting talking with Alex Smith, and we said, you know, what if you have to get in a shootout with Peyton Manning? How do you think you guys will do? He said, well, no, we haven't really been behind. We haven't had to get into a shootout. We haven't had to try and open up our offense. But he was pretty confident. He feels like they can throw the football against anybody, and he is no shrinking violet against this team.
Well, we'll see. They haven't scored. The Chiefs have not scored an offensive touchdown in 6 quarters. This would be a 7th, and here goes Charles to pick up the first down. So he's able to finally get on track. Takes the ball to the Denver 40-yard line, and the clock ticks down to 42 seconds remaining in the quarter.
Well, it helps your pass blocking and everything else when the big guys up front get a chance to just come off the ball and block. You want to slow the pass rushers down, and nothing does that better than just running the football right up the gut. And Jamal Charles, not a big guy, but he is unafraid running inside.
And Smith drops it at the 40-yard line and is able to recover it. And that will take us to the end of the quarter. So a good break there for Kansas City after they coughed it up on the last possession, and that led to a Denver touchdown. End of 1. The Denver Broncos 10, the Kansas City Chiefs nothing. And Sunday Night Football from Denver resumes after these messages. Second and 10 for Kansas City as the second quarter commences with Smith throwing deep downfield and hitting Dwayne Bowe at the 15-yard line for a gain of 25.
I tell you, Dwayne Bowe, they told me all week because of the whatever happened in that night with the marijuana or whatever, that he had sort of refocused himself. He said he's a guy that when you get him concentrating and focused here in the slot, he is a guy that can be a game changer for us. Unfortunately, he had to get a lot of negative attention this week, and probably deserved.
Leading wide receiver on the team, Charles leads the team in catches, and of course in rushing as well as he spins his way to the 12-yard line. Short gain, it'll be 2nd down and 8.
You know, it's kind of interesting talking with Andy Reid about Alex Smith, and he said, we were saying, you know, why him? Why Alex Smith? He said, I just like quarterbacks with a few calluses. And there's no doubt Alex Smith is still not happy with what happened to him in San Francisco. He felt like he should have never lost his job last season, that should have been his trip to the Super Bowl. And he was a happy guy when he got traded here. This is where he wanted to come, no question about it.
2nd and 8. That's Charles who splits out as a receiver, wide receiver to the right, and the pass is going to go to him and off his fingertips. Dookie Inacho covering him on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 8, and then there's jawing, and a flag is thrown. So Inacho getting into the face of Charles, and a flag is thrown, and Alex Smith indicating it's going to go against Denver.
Boy, Dookie Inacho made a great play covering one of the fastest guys in football, and he may have jawed his way right out of it.
Sportsmanlike contact, taunting, defense, number 33, half the distance to the goal, automatic, 1st down.
Well, that turns a 3rd down and 8 into a 1st and goal.
Here's a safety against one of the fastest guys in the league. Charles makes a nice release, barely misses it. You go back to the huddle and you say, all right, guys, let's get him on this 3rd down. But once you get up in his face and you start banging into his helmet, there you go. Here comes the flag out there, not going to let you do it. Can't believe it.
Charles again this time splits wide to the right. And there's the Dookie. You saw Jack say get him out, and he did get him out, and the pass is dropped at the 5-yard line by Jamal Charles. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
Well, this was such a big game for the Kansas City Chiefs. In the first quarter, they looked like a team that hadn't been in a lot of big moments. But now here they are. They've taken Denver's best shot. They're down 10-0 on the road, and they're coming back down the field. But somebody has to start making big catches for Alex Smith. He's been throwing the ball pretty well.
And they take Charles out of the game, and Niall Davis, the rookie from Arkansas, comes in at running back. He goes out into a pattern to the right. The pass is thrown over the middle and incomplete. Kayvon Webster was able to knock it down, intended for Bo to be 3rd down and goal.
Boy, what a nice play by the rookie Kayvon Webster. People have picked on him all season as well. Got underneath the little pick, knocked the thing away, and sets up the 3rd down. Big time play.
From the 6, Charles is back in. Inacho is still out from the 6-yard line. Smith to the corner, and it's caught for a touchdown. Dwayne Bowe turning around to the outside after he crosses the goal line, holds it in. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, they go 80 yards in 11 plays, 4 runs, 7 passes.
Pretty physical on the tail end of this route. Let's watch it up here on top. Could have easily been called as a pass interference call on the offensive side, but one thing Dwayne Bowe just does a great job of, he's so physical with defensive backs, and they felt like one of their advantages in this game was that their receivers could play more physically than could the Denver Broncos defensive backs, and you just saw it for a touchdown.
Chiefs' first offensive touchdown since the first half against Cleveland. It's been 7 quarters since the offense got into the end zone. Ryan Suckup for the extra point. And a minute and a half into the second quarter, it's Denver 10, Kansas City 7. Look at the standings in the AFC North. Cincy wins today, and then you've got Pittsburgh and Baltimore fighting to stay alive in the playoff hunt Thanksgiving night from Maryland. Ryan Suckup, his first kickoff of the night, 8 yards in. Holiday's going to come out with it. Brendan Holiday out to the 21-yard line.
It's a great game to watch tonight because of the one-on-one matchups that Kansas City, they believe in their man coverage. Wes Welker going against Brandon Flowers, and this one's been a good one all night. Then Demaryius Thomas getting a little physical on the outside with Marcus Cooper to hit the big one, and then finally Julius Thomas, the tight end, against the safety Eric Berry for the touchdown. But that's what it's going to be. There is no trick defenses out here from the Kansas City Chiefs. It's one-on-one, it's man-to-man. Let's go see who the better man is.
Manning has thrown for 100 yards, 70 of those on one pass to Thomas. Great protection. And that's Demaryius Thomas with a flag thrown, getting tackled by Cooper. Flag down to the 37.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, from 29. Penalty's been declined. Result of the play, 1st and 10.
Penalty on Eric Berry. We check in with Michelle.
Al, Chiefs starting defensive end Mike DeVito is now out with a left knee injury. You saw him come out for one play, now back in the locker room. That leaves 5 defensive linemen for the Chiefs. Before he went back, he was coaching up backups Anthony Toribio and rookie Mike Catapano, who will get the snaps out.
All right, thank you, Michelle. And right now, Noshawn Moreno goes over the right side. Tackled by Sanders Cummings with a big hit, the rookie out of Georgia. Gain of 1, 2nd down and 9.
That is just a fantastic play, coming off the edge for a cornerback to knock a running back down that easily. That was strong.
Fake inside handoff. Over the middle. Caught by Julius Thomas. 1st down at the 46. Funny thing, Manning talking about Thomas, and he makes a lot of mistakes, but the upside is just too good to take him out of the lineup.
Yeah, he said, how are you going to take out somebody who in their last game went 71 yards for a touchdown on a 2-yard flat pattern? And we see it all the time. These big athletic basketball player type tight ends, you just throw them up and they're too big to cover.
And that's knocked down. Getting an arm in there was Sean Smith to make the play, intended for Eric Decker. 2nd and 10. Crowd wants a flag and doesn't get it.
Well, Peyton Manning will keep you up to date on this ankle. Watch him drive off that back foot, and remember, that's part of the problem. The ankle is on the right foot, but I haven't seen any problems whatsoever so far.
2nd and 10. And that pass caught on the outside. This is Demaryius Thomas. And he'll take the ball all the way to the 18-yard line.
Well, Demaryius Thomas is going to be a physical wide receiver. He is going to get up on some of these defensive backs. And right now, because of the fact that they're not flip-flopping their corners, Peyton Manning is able to dictate who plays on whom out here.
Monte Ball comes in at running back. The earlier fumble. Ball makes the catch and gets hit immediately by Eric Berry. Eric Berry, again, one of the Pro Bowlers, 4th year out of Tennessee. They picked him in the 1st round in 2010. And he almost always gets matched up on the tight end. Was having a great season, still is, of course. But as Chris mentioned before, it's the first time a tight end has scored a touchdown this season when Julius Thomas did it against Kansas City.
Think Troy Polamalu. That's the role he has. And he said, you know, a lot of this stuff I've never done before. Last time he played linebacker was in Pee Wee football, and a lot of times he's lined up right around the line of scrimmage, as he is again.
Yeah, Monte Ball, Manning has to push him to the left side and then throw into traffic, and the flag comes in, and looking around was Wes Welker for the flag. He does get it. Marcus Cooper covering on the play. John Parry.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 31, 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
When they picked up Cooper, he was off to a really good start this year. San Francisco waived him. Kansas City got him and having his problems tonight.
Well, for Marcus Cooper, I hate to say it, but Peyton Manning now has your number, and they missed that time a wide open Eric Decker down the middle of the field. For whatever reason, I think he was so focused on Cooper, he just didn't see Decker in the end zone.
On first down, we got Moreno back in the game for a gain of 2, taking the ball to the 12-yard line. Defensive coordinator, there he is, Bob Sutton. And Andy Reid said it's the 3rd time I went after him. I couldn't get him until now. And he's done, of course, a masterful job when you're coaching the best scoring defense in the league.
Yeah, Andy Reid didn't know him. John Gruden, his good friend, was in on some coaching clinics with him, and he made the recommendation, and Andy Reid's glad he did.
2nd down and 9. Manning, great protection, then dumps it off underneath. Welker makes the catch. Comes up a couple of yards short of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
I tell you, the 2 tackles for the Denver Broncos are playing their tail off right now. Chris Clark on the outside against Tamba Ali. Ali has 9 sacks on the year. On the other side, Justin Houston has 11. And so far, those guys have done nothing.
This is the 9th play of the drive. Moreno setting up a first down and goal. Noshan Moreno taking it to the 1-yard line with 9:25 to go in the half.
And you have to wonder, is this pace taking its toll? They're at altitude. Several of the Kansas City players talked about how tired they get.
First and goal, play fake, and then the pass is incomplete, but a flag is thrown. Brandon Flowers with the coverage. If it's against Kansas City, it's about an 18-inch penalty, but you keep the down.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 24. First and goal. The 1-yard line.
Yeah, half the distance, but
who cares?
It's still first down, right?
Or Brandon Flowers, why not take a chance right here? See if he hooks him a little bit coming around. Usually, if you put that left arm around him and pull it, that's what they're going to call. But pretty decent defense there. This is one of those games you try to get a feel for the referees and how they're going to play.
Since the previous down was started at the 1-yard line, the ball will be spotted at the half-yard line. First and goal.
Well, as we say, 18 inches on the penalty.
Peyton saying,
yeah, quiet zone. The rookie ball is the running back. And there goes ball spinning his way in for the touchdown. The rookie from Wisconsin into the end zone to culminate a 10-play, 79-yard drive.
What a great spin move here. This thing looks like it's going nowhere. Tamba Ali on the right just takes Joel Dreesen straight backwards, and ball just spins this thing in. Watch Ali, he just takes Dreesen backwards, but Monte Ball, no stranger to finding the end zone. He set records in the NCAA for both rushing and touchdowns scored. He gets down there, he knows what to do.
His 2nd touchdown as a Denver Bronco. Matt Prater for the point after with 9:05 remaining in the opening half. Denver leading the undefeated Chiefs by 10. Well, what does Coach Fox say? And we send our very best to John Fox. Underwent a heart procedure in Charlotte. It was the off week, and John was back playing golf in his hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. At least that's where he has his home. And of course, we talked to him on the phone a couple of times this week. Called into our meeting the other day, and send our very best to John, who no doubt is looking on tonight. Pretty happy to this point.
And he wants everybody to know he did not turn off the game in San Diego.
No.
He was fine. He was not walking away from that one for anything.
And he went for a walk, a mile walk on Friday. And there's Robin and John. And John wanted it to be made very clear because of what happened to Gary Kubiak a couple of weeks ago. in Houston. And with John, and there's John Elway, he said it's not a stress-related thing. This is a congenital thing. He knew he needed to have the heart procedure done. He was going to have it done at the end of the season, but he couldn't wait, obviously, when he felt very faint in Charlotte that day. They got him right in there, and Jack Del Rio, his defensive coordinator, takes over.
But John Elway said, no way are you coming back before a month. You sit and rest, take care of yourself, and it's the right thing to do.
From the 20-yard line, and he got coming across the line, and the whistle sounds because Robert Ayers might have had an unimpeded route to the quarterback, and he continued to pursue that. John Parrott.
Unabated defense. Number 91, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Unabated, unimpeded, you take your pick. Well, Jack Del Rio, and he's been in the news earlier this year as well. He's a graduate of USC. USC, of course, firing Lane Kiffin in the middle of the season, and Jack is rumored on several levels to be a guy very seriously being considered as the next head coach of the USC Trojans. He doesn't talk about it. Pat Hayden doesn't talk about it, but Jay Glazer and a few other guys do.
Yeah, and USC's on a roll right now, so knocking off Stanford last night and played very well, so I'm sure that plays into that equation as well.
Well, we'll see, but Jack with a lot of experience, obviously, as the longtime 9-year coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Calling the shots here, 2nd down and 2 from the 28-yard line. And the pass is incomplete. Talking to Del Rio the other day, we were saying, you know, when you're on the sideline and you have to make a decision, do you think, what would John Fox have done, or do you do it your way?
And he said, no way. I can't do that. I can't be in two brains at once. I just have to do what I think is best. Here's Von Miller on the outside, who really made this play. Got in the throwing lanes and forced Alex Smith to just throw it away. So now your defense needs a break. You need this first down to keep this one going.
3rd and 2 from the 28, out of the shotgun. And Smith deep down the sideline, and a flag is thrown. The pass incomplete. Dwayne Bowe, the receiver, Chris Harris covering, but you saw the flag coming in. A lot of calls against the DBs tonight.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 33, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Well, that one was called on Duke Iheanacho.
Yeah, and he is on Anthony Fasano, the tight end, and it's not been a great night so far for Duke Iheanacho. See, grabbing him there, and pretty good job of acting by Anthony Fasano. Boy, this was a pretty easy catch down the field, though, by Dwayne Bowe, and they just keep dropping balls tonight.
And big hole over the left side. Charles exploits it. And Charles skirting the sideline, and out of bounds he goes. But you can see the reason that guy right now would be the all-time leader in yards per carry. That's a 35-yard gain.
Well, this is the old play. They use the speed and come back around. The fullback, Anthony Sherman, just stays that way. But, boy, that is a monster hole. Good job by Brandon Albert on the outside. And I tell you, when Jamal Charles gets in the open field, you can see what he's doing. See, what happens is a lot of times those pass rushers want to get up the field, so there are run opportunities inside them.
Charles out for a moment. Nile Davis is in, and they give it to the rookie Davis to the 28-yard line. Talking about Jamal Charles, boy, I tell you, when you're the all-time leader in yards per carry, it's pretty spectacular. Mercury Morris 5.1. third highest, and then Jim Brown 5.2, and you know about his career, obviously. And then there's Charles at 5.5 yards per carry.
Leading rusher and receiver, probably the best hands on the team.
Still out, needing a breather at 5,280 feet. Smith, look out. Smith gets away, and then throws, and the pass is incomplete. That was Mike Adams coming in on a safety blitz, who had him but couldn't corral him. It's 3rd down and 7.
Well, one of the assets for Alex Smith is his ability to escape, and I mean, he was dead to rights on that one. Mike Adams just had him. Looked like Ben Roethlisberger spinning out of that one, and just to get this ball away keeps them on schedule and a 3rd and manageable. Big play by Alex Smith.
Charles back in the game. Come up in the pistol on 3rd and 7. Smith over the middle, and that's caught at the 20-yard line, so they convert. Dwayne Bowe snatching it at the 20-yard line. Big conversion in between Iheanacho and Harris.
Nice job that time by Rodney Hudson, the center. They're going to come in with a little stunt inside here, and he was right there to pick it up, and Alex Smith just hung in there. There's some of those calluses that Andy Reid was talking about. Just a quarterback with a tough mindset, not giving in this tough game so far for the Chiefs.
6.5 minutes remaining in the opening half. 1st down from the 20. Davis. Nice run by the Arkansas rookie to the 12-yard line. He goes. 2nd down and 2.
You know, this Knile Davis can run. He's a fast guy that weighs about 227 pounds, and trying to figure out exactly how well he knows the offense as to how much playing time he's going to get on the outside. One of the things that the Chiefs want to do is get Eric Fisher moving some. Look how athletic he is in the open field against Von Miller. That's fantastic. That is almost a strength that they're just now starting to capitalize on.
2nd and a short 3. From just inside the 13, set up the screen. Here's Knile Davis, and Davis gets spun down at the 2-yard line. Danny Trevathan saving the touchdown, but it does make it 1st down and goal for Kansas City. And Trevathan is down on a knee.
Well, sneak the screen out here to the young rookie, and you can see some of the speed and power. And let's see if we can pick up what exactly happened to Trevathan. Just kind of spun him around. But that is a very significant player for the Denver Broncos, especially in this game, because he is the man coverage guy on Jamal Charles. So if he were to go out, it would have a significant impact on this defense.
And he is the team's leading tackler as well. Steven Johnson is his backup at that spot. So Trevathan getting hurt as he was able to spin the ball carrier around and save a touchdown. And there is Steven Johnson, 2nd-year linebacker from Kansas. Well, time of possession is even. Denver with 203 yards and KC with 151. 10-point lead. Trevathan needs some assistance getting back to the Bronco bench, and when play resumes, it's 1st down and goal for Andy Reid, who calls the plays at the 2-yard line. Jamal Charles back in at running back. Charles looking for room. Still on his feet as he spun away. Looked like he got to the 1 and then ran it a little backwards before Mike Adams makes the stop. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
Isn't it interesting that the Kansas City Chiefs trust Jamal Charles to be their goal line back? Usually this is when you get those 230 and 240 pound backs in there, but to a man they all talk about the toughness of this guy, and you just don't take him out of the game. But there are some big guys you're running into on the goal line.
Classic 3-down back, 2nd down and goal from the 2. And they give it to the up back. They give it to the fullback. And this time it is Sherman who gets only to the 1-yard line. So 3rd down and goal now from the 1.
Terrence Knighton with a big play here. And sometimes the fastest way to stop a ball carrier is to go for the ball. Watch Terrence Knighton grab for the ball here, and that basically stops Sherman from trying to lunge back into the end zone.
And swarmed by about 5 orange shirts. Down to 4 minutes to go in the half. 3rd down and goal. And it's Charles, and he's going to get stopped short of the goal line. Steven Johnson, the ball is out as well. Denver thinks they have it. Steven Johnson, who took Trevathan's place, knocking the ball loose. Officials conferring.
How about Steven Johnson coming from the back side of this, and does the knee go down before this ball comes out? I think it does. By my first glance, I thought it did.
Yep, that's what they're saying. So the ball is out, but he is down.
Yeah.
It could be challenged, but Del Rio, getting the word from upstairs, understands that he's not going to win it. So instead, it'll be Ryan Suckup for a 20-yard field goal attempt. And that's good. But a good goal line stand by the Denver Broncos. Instead of 7, it's 3. And Denver's lead is 7 at 17-10. Suckup's kick. Holiday takes it in the back of the end zone, and they'll start from the 20-yard line. Manning back to work. 2:55 to go in the first half.
Coming into the game, the only 2 pass rushers averaging a sack per game, Justin Houston and Tamba Hali. But so far, in my mind, it's been the offensive tackles. Orlando Franklin on the outside against Hali. And then Chris Clark takes a turn on the other side. They've been doing the job. Ryan Clady is out for the season, their high-paid left tackle, and it has been Chris Clark who stepped in preseason because of a shoulder injury to Clady. Steps in again now, and in a big moment, having a very good night.
And the Broncos begin this drive from the 20-yard line. Fake to Moreno. Welker, and he gets smashed behind the line of scrimmage. Taken down by Brandon Flowers.
Brandon Flowers is not a very big guy, but he is playing like a physical monster out here tonight. Goes right around Demaryius Thomas to put a big hit on Wes Welker. Wes Welker is going to remember the name Brandon Flowers when he leaves here tonight.
Flowers 5'9", 187. About Welker's size. Throws, and that is caught, and Welker will take that one out to the 35-yard line for a first down.
One of the things Peyton Manning loves to do, he's got many audibles for pick plays on the outside. This time they fake they're going to do a pick and come back inside. Brandon Flowers thought he knew what the audible was. He did not.
2-minute warning in Denver. From the 34-yard line on first down, this is Noshawn Moreno taking it up to the 37-yard line. Poe making the tackle.
You know, the Kansas City Chiefs love playing that man-to-man coverage on the outside, but so far Peyton Manning has made them pay, so they're playing a little softer now with the 2 safeties back in the middle of the field.
And Manning throws, and that's caught. That'll be a first down. That is Eric Decker making his first catch of the night.
It's a big-time block by Noshawn Moreno on Eric Berry, the blitzing inside backer / safety.
Manning going at warp speed, and that pass is incomplete. Demaryius Thomas, the intended receiver. The Broncos will get the second half kickoff. So in the world of Manning, what he'd love to do is lead him all the way down the field, take all of the time off the clock, and then get the ball again to start the third quarter.
Which he usually does.
Well, I'm going to say he's only done it about 500 times.
Bob Sutton, the defensive coordinator for Kansas City, saying you have to play Peyton with no fear. You just go call your game, no fear.
Alex, almost intercepted. Instead, it winds up in the hands of Julius Thomas. The Kansas City defensive back came flying in. Quentin Demps took a chance. He gambled. Had he gotten it, he would have had a touchdown.
Quentin Demps is the leading interceptor. They had this set up perfectly. Peyton did not see it, and they just missed. Not even sure how he missed. Big play in the game.
From the 40. On the ground. Gain of 5. This is Moreno. 14 carries for him tonight, but they've kept him pretty much in check. Only 39 yards.
Adam Gase over on the sideline. They knew they had to run the football more tonight. They couldn't let these pass rushers get going.
On 2nd and 5, Manning down the right side and off the fingertips of Demaryius Thomas, stopping the clock with 42 seconds. Broncos have 2 timeouts, 3rd down and 5 upcoming.
One of the problems with pass rushing Peyton Manning is he gets rid of the ball so fast. This is a good inside move by Justin Houston, and he still can't get there. We put the clock on Peyton Manning. On average, 2.5 seconds he's getting rid of the football.
3rd and 5. Of course, Mile High, they are already in field goal range. Raiders hit a 54-yarder. They give the ball on the ground to Moreno. So now it's going to be 4th down. Do the Chiefs want to take their timeout here? And they do. Timeout Kansas City. 4th down upcoming. So Matt Prater in his 7th season, 4 for 4 this season from 50 plus. 1 for 1 tonight. All-time leader in percentage of 50-yard field goals. And this one will be a 52-yarder.
But because of that timeout, a miss gives the Chiefs a chance.
And he is going to miss. And he's going to miss, and that's going to give Kansas City the ball at the 42-yard line with 32 seconds and 2 timeouts.
Well played there by Andy Reid. You know, you love these long field goals, but because of the rules, this isn't college. They're not going to go put it on the 20 or anything. Now you've got a shot to put points on the board just before the half. Could not have worked out any better for the Chiefs.
Well, you talk about somebody being the all-time leader in something, and you put the kibosh right on him.
Yeah. No catches so far for Jamal Charles, but now if Danny Trevathan is not in there.
He's in there.
He's in there now.
Yep.
Still may want to test him here.
From the 42-yard line. Alex Smith out of the gun. Deep drop, ton of time. Throws, caught, Bo. And Bo will get ridden down at the 42-yard line. And Kansas City will use its 2nd timeout. 23 seconds remaining in the half.
Well, I am just really impressed tonight with Alex Smith. I mean, there has been every single reason for him to think, oh boy, it's not our night, whatever, and he is just hung in there. He is everything that Andy Reid thought he would be when he made that trade, and the protection thus far for him has been pretty darn good too. Kind of fun to play quarterback and sit there and just look around like that.
Bo 4 catches tonight, including 1 for a touchdown. Need about 8 more yards to get into field goal range here. Ball is at the 42-yard line.
And Peyton's over there kicking himself for leaving any time on the clock.
Smith under pressure, and that's the last thing you want to do in this case. A sack. Sean Phillips is right there for the sack, taking him completely out of field goal range. And they'll stop the clock with 11 seconds.
Complete coverage sack. Bo covered on the outside. Dexter McCluster inside was covered. Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, they took away the inside, allowed the pass rush to get there. Just nowhere to go with that football. Obviously, Alex Smith would have loved to have thrown this one away. Huge sack and big mistake by Alex Smith on that one.
So Kansas City had to take its final timeout. Now you have 11 seconds, but the key is if you're going to run a play, you got to get out of bounds. I doubt you can complete one in field goal range, then get down there and spike it. Possible, but not likely. Second down and 19, big sack.
Well, the coverage you usually get in these long yardage situations is some kind of two-man. And Alex Smith is such a good runner. If he could run it for about 15 yards and get out of bounds, they would still have the opportunity to kick a field goal.
The key is to get out of bounds at the end of the play. And Smith chased out, throwing, caught, and the flag is down. The ball came out. McCluster made the catch, lost it. Charles winds up with it. The clock showing zeros.
But they're saying holding, which I've got to believe.
If it's defensive, of course, the half can't end on a defensive foul, so Kansas City would have another play.
Now they've got a little scuffling going on, and if you're Denver, get the heck out of there. You don't want to add anything to this.
Prior to the pass being thrown, holding, defense, number 52, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Automatic first down, but no time, and the half cannot end. And there is Woodyard, who's the guy who's so upset. And of course, if he loses 15 more, that could put them in field goal range.
Well, I think even here you take the shot, though. What do you got to lose at this point? Even though there's no time on the clock, you get your one final play. So you probably decline that penalty, right? Wasn't it more than a 5-yard gain?
Well, Ryan Suckup is going to come in to attempt a field goal, at least.
See, this is where this decision gets interesting here. I think that's what Andy's trying to figure out here too.
Right.
Do I still get to kick it if I decline the penalty? Because there was more than 5 yards gained on that one.
This would be a 64-yard field goal attempt if the ball is going to stay right there. Of course, Del Rio pleading his case on the other sideline. And that's exactly what Andy's going to do right now, decide whether or not to take it or not.
This would be an NFL record if this thing is made. This is one of those rare opportunities to kick a 64-yard field goal. You might have a shot at seeing history here.
Well, this is the place where you do it at altitude. And now they're going to bring them off.
You know why? Because they put Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie back, and they were more afraid of having one return the distance as opposed to making that kick, so they'll take their chances with a Hail Mary here.
We've seen it happen.
And don't be surprised if they go hard count here too, try and steal 5 yards and then kick the field goal.
Line of scrimmage is the 46. It's first down, and untimed down because of the penalty. And Smith will take the snap out of the shotgun. And Smith, well, he's going to stay in bounds as long as he can, but he finally has to run out of room and step away, and that's going to take us to halftime. And the importance of this game, when you think about the division, the winner of this division at the moment would figure to be the #1 seed. And even if the team that finishes second in the division has the second best record in the conference, you go all the way down to the #5 seed. And these same two teams will meet again in Kansas City in 2 weeks. Second half kickoff, and Holiday lets it go through the end zone, and we go to Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
Well, just spoke with Jack Del Rio, and he told me his offense is executing beautifully. He said the Chiefs have a good pass rush, but we have a good plan. And he said, I don't think Peyton's been hit once, has he? Meanwhile, Raheem Moore for the defense is in the locker room still. Jack Del Rio told me he's not wearing his pads and is very doubtful for the second half, but they don't know what it is other than a mystery injury to the lower leg, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So Moore is out. You look at Andy Reid, his team has given up 249 yards to the Broncos. So this great defense, #1 in scoring, on a pace to allow 500 yards to Denver tonight. from the 20-yard line. Manning throwing, and it's incomplete. A little overthrown. Eric Berry going to the ground. First half numbers as we take a look at the passing yardage. Denver with 202, and the total yardage belonging to Denver. That discrepancy right there. The turnovers, one each, and they came back to back in the first quarter, and that second one by Kansas City after a Denver turnover led to a Denver touchdown. No Sean Moreno gets thrown down. So Moreno's carried the ball a lot tonight, but KC has done good work on him. 15 carries for 40 yards.
Dontari Poe, just watch the big guy inside here. You just can't move him. He has just proven to me that, he is no workout warrior. A lot of people felt he came out of the combine. People didn't know who he was. He played at Memphis State. They'd only won 5 games in 3 years. But he has proven in the National Football League he can play with anybody. And his growth this season is a big reason why this defense has taken off.
11th overall pick in the draft last year. 3rd down and 9. And turning around, and it's incomplete. Julius Thomas had to look back, couldn't corral it, so it's 4th down and a 3 and out.
Absolutely perfect throw by Peyton Manning. It looked like Julius Thomas was going to turn around on this back shoulder at the right moment. Kind of caught his hands, but just couldn't hang on to that one. Could only get one hand back, but it was the spot it needed to be.
Britton Colquitt will send it down toward Dexter McCluster. An angled kick. McCluster has to come to the near sideline, corrals it at the 33-yard line, and then gets taken down from behind at the 37-yard line by David Bruton.
Can we just say what a big stop that was for the Kansas City Chiefs to come out with that kind of a stand?
Downfield passing through week 10. You can see a lot of the short stuff, the West Coast offense. Over 3/4 of his passes thrown within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and only 5% of his passes to targets more than 20 yards. And there's the passing by distance tonight for Alex Smith. Taking a few more shots deeper.
They have not been shy tonight. I'll give them credit. They've taken their shots.
From the 37-yard line on 1st down. Downfield again. It's tipped and incomplete. Malik Jackson got a hand on it. It'll make it 2nd down and 10.
You mentioned the West Coast offense, but Andy Reid said now that they're in Kansas City, the name's changed. Farmland Fury is the name of this offense now. Andy, he's been through a lot, let's face it, but here's a guy that is just kind of a joy to be around, isn't he? And
you bet.
Clark Hunt, that's what he said. He said the first time I met him, I really didn't know him, but he was just so much fun to be around.
West coast of the Missouri River. 2nd and 10. Smith will keep it. Andy, very self-deprecating guy. Very even-keeled through the years. And look, it just, all it took in Philadelphia for him to be the all-time hero would be one time to take the Lombardi Trophy down Broad Street. He just couldn't get there.
They got close.
A lot of championship game appearances, one Super Bowl appearance. They lost to New England. And on to Kansas City, where he's 9-0. 3rd down and 7 now from the 40.
Jamal Charles, Dexter McCluster on the same side, creating some good matchups down here.
And Smith taking a shot deep and incomplete. The coverage is perfect that time. Mike Adams on Dexter McCluster, so it's 4th down.
Boy, what a great job of coverage by Mike Adams here. I mean, this is a dream matchup against the very quick Dexter McCluster against a safety, and he was all over it. Huge play.
It's Trenton Holiday setting up at his own 10-yard line. In the punting game tonight, it's all Colquitt all the time, the two brothers. This is Dustin. With Holiday camping underneath, now he's going to let it go, and it will bound into the end zone. So each team with one possession, a quick one. Manning back to work from the 20-yard line. Denver up by a touchdown. A little bit of mystery theater in regard to Peyton Manning and how he would perform with the high ankle sprain, and pretty good so far tonight.
Yeah, you see all the bandages on there, but this first throw here told me all I needed to know. When you can sort of pivot on that bad ankle and make that throw and not wince afterwards, you know that it's feeling pretty good. I haven't seen any sign. He's been driving off that back leg, but he hasn't been hit either. That's the big surprise. I thought the Chiefs would really send the house on occasion just to make sure they got a few hits on him.
First down. It is Moreno. A good run this time out to the 29-yard line. Gain of 9. 2nd and 1. Justin Houston making the tackle.
Yeah, and that's the problem, you know, that when you allow this offense to get going like this, and you're probably just not as fresh as you are used to being in a game.
Quickly to the line, quickly snap. Moreno again. Moreno, the workhorse, seeing more and more action as the season goes on. He's carried 18 times tonight, 54 yards.
Watching he and Peyton work on their passing game.
And they're going to try it again to the outside, and it gets banged down after a gain of about 2 by Marcus Cooper.
Yeah, one of the things we always talk about, these outside pass rushers, but maybe their biggest job is they've got to get up here and try and set the edge hard on the outside. So Justin Houston, all the numbers that he puts up as a pass rusher, pretty good all-around player.
Monte Ball in the game, and that pass is knocked down by Justin Houston.
Speaking of, he almost got that one, didn't he? He was just sitting there reading Peyton's eyes, and I think if he put up the other hand, he might have had an interception on this one. Sometimes you just have to get lucky on those tip balls.
So 3rd down and 9. Drifting left, Manning throws, open, Welker, flag down. 2 flags back at the 28-yard line.
Holding, offense, number 74, 10-yard penalty, replay, 3rd down.
The right tackle, Orlando Franklin, and that will negate a 19-yard gain.
He just got caught on the inside stunt and the outside move by Derek Johnson. He had to stick out his arm and just hook him. You just have to sometimes realize that Peyton Manning, being Peyton Manning, can take care of you. If you make a mistake, by the time they do all that looping and stunning, remember the clock we were talking about 2.5 seconds. By the time you do that, Peyton Manning's gotten rid of it. That was a big penalty.
3rd and 19. Peyton saying to us the other day, you know, sometimes in situations like this, you just take your medicine. On 3rd and 19, this is where you might take your medicine. And Peyton will throw one underneath, and that's knocked down by Poe. So it'll be 4th down.
Yeah. Dontari Poe almost took his medicine on that one. That's a couple of balls now. Poe's right over the center here. And as we're seeing more and more of around the National Football League, if they don't get there on the first move, especially playing against Peyton and how quickly he gets rid of the football, just try and knock it down.
For Britton Colquitt, this will be his 3rd punt of the night. And fielded at the 29 by McCluster. And he gets thrown back by Virgil Green after a 6-yard return. Early 3rd, it remains 17-10 Broncos. As Kansas City on 1st down goes nowhere with Charles tackled to the line of scrimmage. I mean, this has been going on for over a decade, and you would think at some point, okay, we're tired of it. But now it's like it's as big as ever. Manning against Brady for the 14th time. counting postseason next week.
And what's remarkable is that these two guys have been able to keep their teams on top almost no matter what. You know, a lot of changes on both teams, obviously Peyton changing teams, and yet all they do is just keep winning. That's just how great they are.
That's Sunday night next week from Foxborough. And that pass is caught by Sean McGrath, the tight end, and McGrath will pick up a first down, taking the ball into Bronco territory.
Sometimes inside linebackers work so hard on the other side that they can lose a route that comes back the other way. So you get focused in on that linebacker, and then here comes the other one underneath. But I have to say, I have been so impressed with the Kansas City Chiefs tonight. I don't think I was a true believer. I knew they had a good defense, but I didn't know if their offense could sort of match and play with Peyton Manning. They have been just a couple of big catches away from having the lead in this game.
That was a 21-yard gain. Give the ball to Charles, exploits a hole through the middle and knifes his way to the 32-yard line. Chris, I think a lot of people with a flag down now at the end of the play were diminishing Kansas City's accomplishments because they have played the softest schedule in the league. Von Miller is the injured Bronco. And we'll get the penalty call as well. They're already minus, or the Broncos, Raheem Moore, their safety. Here's Barry.
Illegal block in the back. Offense, number 17, 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
That's the receiver, the wideout, Donnie Avery.
That hurts, but what hurts even more if you're thinking about Von Miller's injury. That is about as big as it gets. I tell you, since he's come back in the lineup, this defense and quarterback ratings against them and the pressure that he's been able to get, he's changed this defense, although tonight he's been handled. Tonight it has been the Eric Fisher story so far on Von Miller. Watch the hands of Eric Fisher. The big thing that they've tried to teach him since he got here is how to extend those hands and use his athleticism to stay within. He was trying to keep his hands low, and he was trying to corral guys and grab them. He is a work in progress, but tonight, pretty darn good.
1st and 13 after the penalty, and that's tipped and incomplete. Sean Phillips got a hand on it. Let's go to Michelle.
Well, Eric Fisher told me this has been the most amazing year of his life. He saw his draft stock rise from a top 15 pick in the Senior Bowl to a top 10 pick after the Combine to the #1 overall pick. And the expectations that came along with being the top pick overwhelmed him early on, he told me. He finally had to just throw those expectations out the window and just play, Al.
And he has. He's a guy out of Central Michigan, 6'7", 306. It's never a sexy pick when you have the #1 pick and you pick a tackle, but they knew what they needed. 2nd and 13. And Smith is going to go down, and that's Derek Wolfe. He beats Fisher.
And he knows it. He got so far forward here. Watch Wolfe out here. Fisher tries to overextend. Wolfe uses his own momentum against him and gets the sack. So go figure. You take out Von Miller after the injury, and it's Derek Wolfe that comes up and beats the guy that Von Miller hasn't been able to beat all night.
And we put the kibosh on him.
Sure did.
Von Miller's back in the game. It's 3rd down and 27.
Speaking of taking your medicine.
Smith underneath the cluster. That's when you just want to hold on to the ball, and he does at the 45-yard line. And in comes the punting unit.
You know what's interesting? We were talking to a bunch of the defenders of the Denver Broncos, and very quietly they were like, you know, there's 2 defenses playing in this game out here on Sunday night. Let's not forget that. And they had a little chip on their shoulder coming in here with all the attention that the Chiefs defense was getting. They felt like that maybe they could get their due in this one.
Dustin Colquitt averaging 52 yards a punt tonight. This is his 5th. And it will bound through the end zone. 8:06 remaining in the 3rd quarter, with the Broncos on top 17-10. Here's Manning throwing on first down, and it's a 9-yard gain as Eric Decker gets forced out of bounds at the 29-yard line by Marcus Cooper.
Yeah, and Peyton Manning is saying, all right, let's get back to what was working. Remember in the first half, we were throwing the ball at Marcus Cooper a lot. Here he comes out on that drive and sets up a 2nd and short.
Back to the ground. And this is Ball picking up 2, and that's enough for a first down. Denver Broncos on record-setting pace. 41 points per game, 458 yards per game. And right now with 17 through 2.5 quarters, 17 points. Chiefs have not allowed more than 17 points in any game this season. Manning, and pressure was put on. Got the throwaway. Justin Houston came in to put the heat on. It's 2nd down and 10.
Now right now it's Chris Clark who's doing a good job on Tamba Hali, and Orlando Franklin struggling a bit on the other side. That time got pushed right back in by Justin Houston, and that's really what forced the incompletion.
Ball again, the Wisconsin rookie. Short game.
And there's Alan Bailey in there to make the tackle. Remember, he's probably taking over for Mike DeVito, who got hurt early in the first quarter.
Up to the line quickly. 3rd down and 7. Pressure again, and the pass is incomplete. Coming quickly through Eric Berry that time on a blitz. Unblocked, came through, forced the issue on Manning, and it's 4th down.
We talked about Eric Berry as an inside backer in some of the dime and quarter packages. That time his speed able to get there. And Julius Thomas took a knock on the outside in that trap coverage from Marcus Cooper.
And he's down. Julius Thomas is down on the turf. But there's Eric Berry out of Tennessee, 2-time Pro Bowler. Last year went to Honolulu, but right now the concern is about the tight end Thomas.
Right at the tail end of that thing, Marcus Cooper came in. Oh my goodness, and you can see that knee hyperextend and go backwards. That was the coverage where basically you think you have a tight end in man coverage and he's wide open, but the corner stops, and everybody, including Peyton Manning, maybe a little sigh of relief seeing that big guy walk off.
Thomas hadn't played much the first 2 years here, and then got the start on opening night, scoring 2 touchdowns, 1 tonight, 10 on the season. And on 4th down, the punt with McCluster back to receive Colquitt's kick.
I tell you, the Kansas City Chiefs and their special teams sometimes have a way of taking over games. Not yet. McCluster's dangerous, though.
Very. Good deep kick, and McCluster will field it in the 13 and get taken down immediately. Beautiful tackle by Andre Caldwell. Be the number 4 or 5 wide receiver, but the gunner on the punt team. Beautiful play. Cool, crisp, clear night. 17-10, Denver on top as Kansas City begins this drive from its 13-yard line. Good play fake, good protection, deep downfield, and then broken up at the 40-yard line. Intended for Avery, broken up by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
And remember, Andy Reid had him in Philadelphia. They felt like sometimes when their play action goes away, that sometimes Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie has a way of going to sleep a little bit and just relaxing on the backside of plays. That time they motion away, come back and throw it back, and he was up to the task. Athletically, physically, just such a gifted guy. Player of the week earlier this year for his big game against the Washington Redskins in the AFC. Big addition.
2nd and 10. Jamal Charles. That's one thing I never knew. Longest full name in NFL history, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
That's it.
Well, there is Brad Childress, who has been a head coach, of course, in the league at Minnesota. He is the spread game analyst / special projects. And Andy gives him special projects every week, so he's not a coach who's down in the field. DRC was the special project this week.
Didn't work out so far.
Third and 7. And it's incomplete, so Alex Smith can't get anything happening. Intended for Bo, covered there by Woodyard. 4th down.
Pretty good job there by Wesley Woodyard coming across, and I think Andy Reid saying, wait a minute now. Either that ball was in the air or he was beyond 5 yards or something. Something wasn't right with that. It was a good play by Woodyard.
It's become a punting duel now in the second half. Dustin Colquitt, this will be his 6th punt of the game. His brother has launched 4 from the other side. Holiday from the 32 can go next to nowhere with 5:24 remaining. Thus far, the third quarter has been scoreless, still 17-10.
Andy Reid's not happy even a little bit. He feels like Wesley Woodyard got away with a hold. Top of the screen, Dwayne Bowe is going to come right across here, and if he gets across the face of Woodyard, it's a lot of green grass, sort of grasped around the waist. Andy took immediately after the referee without satisfaction.
Well, Julius Thomas is back in the game. He was shaken up the last time Denver had the ball. They start this drive from their own 35-yard line. And here's Moreno. And Moreno with some good tough running picks up a 1st down. That's his longest run of the night, good for 11 yards. He's already carried the ball 20 times tonight for 66 yards. Each team in this half has had 3 possessions, and they've all ended with punts. No gain for Moreno. 2nd and 10.
Sometimes you just have to stack it up from the outside in and force that tight end back. It sort of knocks the pulling guard off, and now you're starting to see a few run stunts coming from the Kansas City Chiefs as well.
4.5 to go in the third quarter. Manning to the outside. Welker makes the catch and gets banged down as he hauls it in by Quentin Dempsey along the sideline. Gain of 7. It'll be 3rd down and 3 for Denver.
That was almost a blown coverage there. Brandon Flowers really just stopped covering Wes Welker, and it's a good thing Dempsey covered for him, because that definitely would have been an easy one or even a big play.
Manning now 16 of 29 for 218. And on 3rd and 3, take Ali out of the play. Gives him time to hit Decker. Eric Decker inside the 20 to the 14-yard line. 33-yard gain for Decker.
First of all, you have to start with the protection. You know Tamba Hali's coming around the corner, so Peyton Manning does a little backpedal away from that side and buys just enough time to catch the crosser. A little pick play going across the middle. Decker with nobody in sight.
And a ton of yardage after the catch, a category that Denver leads the league in. An empty on 1st and 10. A little floater caught by Ball. And Ball gets taken down by Eric Berry. Gain of 6, 2nd down and 4.
Well, it's just man coverage on the outside, and I think this is Justin Houston just thinks it's a run, jumps up, and there's nobody to come out in the flat to take Monte Ball.
2:40 left in the quarter on 2nd down and 4 from the 8. Inside give to the outside. Bull, touchdown. A little mile-high leap for Ball, who gets into the end zone for the second time tonight.
There we go. Zane Beadle's out and around and able to secure the edge. Derek Johnson couldn't get there. Marcus Cooper was in man coverage, and Monte Ball, despite having the fumble early in the game with the miscommunication, Jack Del Rio showing a lot of confidence in the high draft pick and giving him other chances, and he has delivered.
And flags come in here. Monte Ball has his second touchdown of the night, his third of his young career.
In formation prior to the snap. Defense, that penalty will be assessed on the ensuing kickoff.
Not too many men on the field, 2:22 left. Extra point to come. Kansas City, for the first time this season, has allowed more than 17 points in a game.
And they've had their opportunities. You know, they stopped this Broncos offense, what, 3 times in a row, and their offense just could not answer the other way.
Prater converts late in the third quarter, 24-10. You know, you look at the importance of this game when we talk about the division winner figures to be the #1 seed, and whoever finishes second is going to probably be the #5 seed. And there's a huge difference there, of course. But to me, this game was so much more important for Denver, because Kansas City would have a 2-game lead if they win the game. Denver goes to New England next week. Take a look at the remaining schedules. Chiefs get San Diego at home. Then they get Denver and Arrowhead. And then at Washington, at Oakland, Indy, and at San Diego. The Broncos, 2 tough ones coming up. And then the schedule softens a bit. But the Broncos, if they lose this game, would need help in securing the #1 seed. Otherwise, now it'll be back in their own hands if they win this game.
Yeah, and they're hoping Tom Brady can give them a little help next week in New England as well. And then Denver has to come back to Kansas City. And you know, going into this, I didn't know how this team would match up. I didn't know if they'd have the ability to sort of hang with them. But defensively tonight, they've proven that they can play with Peyton Manning. Now you add the crowd noise to help the pass rushers when they get back to Kansas City. Could very easily be a very different outcome there. Of course, this one's a long way from over.
Yep.
But now you have that scenario that we talked about. Now Alex Smith, who would prefer to play it a little bit close to the vest and not take a lot of chances and rely on the defense. Too late for that now. Now you have to go. Now you have to make some big plays in the passing game.
Prater's kick. And this is going to be taken 7 yards in. This is Niall Davis. They send the rookie back there to return the kick. Davis around the outside. And a flag is down as he gets forced out of bounds up at the 27-yard line.
Boy, I tell you, for this offense, this is a killer penalty.
Holding number 32. Return team. Half the distance. 1st and 10. Kansas City.
Cyrus Gray.
You know, just the lead back coming right up. You see Cyrus Gray right there, and there's the hook of the arm right in that area there. But now you put your offense back inside the 10-yard line, an offense that has trouble going the distance anyway, and now the crowd gets amped up. You're right back into that part of the stadium. You have to be disciplined here, but you also can't play it tight to the vest. You've got to start opening up this offense. This is a dangerous time now for Alex Smith.
And they've done nothing, have the Chiefs, offensively in this half. 3 possessions and a total of 26 yards gained. Smith slings it to the outside. This is Dexter McCluster. Takes it up to the 14-yard line. Tackled there by Kayvon Webster.
Yeah, and it's one thing we haven't seen much of tonight. Jamal Charles and Dexter McCluster, 2 of the most dynamic players in the game when they get in the open field. And throughout the course of the season, they've thrown a lot of passes to Jamal Charles. Now, a lot of them short, dinky passes, but sometimes you have to give your best playmaker a chance to win some one-on-one battles.
Charles has not caught a pass tonight. And this time it is Alex Smith faking the handoff, and he can run. Kayvon Webster finally stops him, and don't the New Orleans Saints know that all too well? Alex Smith running as he did in that playoff game to lead the 49ers to a huge win 2 years ago.
Well, once the defensive end, in this case outside linebacker Von Miller, commits down, then the quarterback just simply makes that read and he's gone. That play has been there on several occasions. One time earlier they ran it when it wasn't there.
From the 31-yard line, give it to Charles. Denver's done a good job bottling Charles up tonight. Charles has now carried the ball 14 times for 68 yards, but 35 of those 68 yards came on one carry.
But that's when he's so dangerous. You know, I mean, here's a guy, he's so fast, he can start from where the right tackle is and end up breaking outside the left tackle. So that's the problem you have if you try and pursue too hard from the backside.
Closing minute of the third quarter, 2nd and 5. Charles again. Around the right side, picks up the first down. Tackled by Duke Iheanacho. And the end of the quarter.
Isn't it interesting, though, that here they were, that, you know, we're thinking, boy, they've got to get to their passing game. What have they done? Run down the field. And that's really who they are.
And that'll take us to the end of the third quarter. So Kansas City on the move, down by 2 touchdowns. End of 3. Denver 24, KC 10. And Sunday Night Football back after these messages. Sparkling and cool Sunday night. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. Back at Sports Authority Field. We start the fourth quarter. Denver up by 2 touchdowns. But Kansas City, good looking drive to end the third. And they begin the fourth with a first down at the 45-yard line. Nothing happening on the inside handoff here to Jamal Charles. Malik Jackson's had a nice night right there to stop him. 2nd down.
You know, the one team to beat Denver this year was the Indianapolis Colts, and they did it by sticking to the run even when it was sort of uncomfortable to stick to the run. Unfortunately, those 1-yard first down runs kind of changes the complexion of things.
Smith out of the pistol on a 2nd and 9. Throws, and it's caught by McCluster on the run. Enough for a first down before he strides out of bounds.
I'll tell you what, this is a gutsy throw by Alex Smith. Watch the hit he takes as soon as this ball comes out of his hands, but he did not flinch on the throw. Throws it all the way back across the grain. Knew he was going to take one right in the chops there by Malik Jackson. That's a big first down.
Jackson's been all over the place. Kansas City, this drive began back at their own 8. Running back now is the rookie Davis. Give it to him. Gain of 3 to the 41.
There's Doug Peterson, the offensive coordinator, and he's a guy that played quarterback for Andy Reid in Green Bay. He also followed him on to Philadelphia. Ends up as the offensive coordinator here, and he says, I try to see this game through Alex Smith's eyes. He said, I've stood in the pocket. I've been under the pass rush. I understand what he's going through as a quarterback in this offense, and I think it certainly has helped him.
Doug backed up Brett Favre for a number of seasons in Green Bay. 2nd and 7. Smith rolling, and he's going to run, and you know he can run, and he slides to a stop at the 31, but a penalty marker. Back at the 50-yard line, and it's going to come back.
Holding, offense, number 84, 10-yard penalty, replay, 2nd down.
Tight end Sean McGrath.
And this hurts because I think Alex Smith was going to outrun this one anyway. Here he is right here, and you'll see him just grab a little jersey, and nice job there by the veteran Sean Phillips, throwing his hands in the air and saying, come on, ref, throw it.
Back to the 49-yard line. Second down and 17. And there's Phillips who needs attention on the Denver sideline. Robert Ayers takes his spot, number 91.
That's Trevathan on the outside against Jamal Charles all the way at the top.
Pass to the slot man. The cluster is incomplete. Quentin Jammer with the coverage. It'll be third down and 17.
This is just a bad play, in my opinion, by Alex Smith. You got one-on-one with your guy, one of the fastest guys in football, against a linebacker. You have to take that shot every time. No matter what else is happening on the field, when you see that, you've got to try it.
Charles on the sideline on third and 17. Fake to Davis. Screen set up. That's caught. Fasano, the tight end, and gets banged down at the 41-yard line. Hit hard by Chris Harris. Now it's 4th and 7.
I tell you, this has been some of the biggest hits by defensive backs I've seen in a game all season this year. These guys have just laid the wood to some big tight end types. Chris Harris there. We've seen Dookie and Nacho. These are some pretty good shots right there. But regardless, Al, that was a successful drive by the Kansas City Chiefs to come off their goal line and now hopefully punt it down inside the 10 or maybe even inside the 5 and let this defense go to work.
Wes Welker drops back to receive Colquitt's kick. And he's going to let it go, and it bounds into the end zone with 11 minutes and 48 seconds left in the 4th. And the Broncos on top 24-10 in Denver. From the 20-yard line, the Broncos start this drive with a 2-yard run by Monte Ball. Justin Houston makes the tackle. 2nd and 8.
It's kind of interesting talking to Peyton about his sort of change in routine this year. Going to bed now at 9 o'clock, multitasking, watching film while he's in the cold tent now on his iPad. Kind of an interesting technological process that he's going through.
In the rocking chair, puppy at his feet, slippers on. Welker makes the catch all the way out to the 41-yard line. And the ball is loose. Wes Welker down. The Broncos are saying he was down. Nothing yet from the officials.
Walker's going to come out of there with it too.
Yep.
Boy, that has been some matchup between he and Brandon Flowers all night long. All that pushing and shoving and stuff, and this time Walker patented a little outcut, and then Flowers slips down, and it was on after that. Pretty remarkable, isn't it? That guy, that undrafted.
Very close. And meanwhile, Welker needs some attention for the injury time out here. So Andy Reid has the challenge flag. The question is, was it a fumble? But more importantly, even if it was, who recovered it? There has to be a clear recovery. So Andy's going to put the challenge flag away because Welker actually came out of that pile with the ball. He may not have been down before the ball came out, and it looked like Derek Johnson had it for just a second, but Welker came out of the pile with it. So Reid puts the challenge flag away, and play resumes now from the 42-yard line on 1st down. Ball for a couple. Let's go back and look at the Welker play.
The ball is going to come out and start moving right here. That ball is on the move, and he never really gains control, so that's a fumble in my mind. Derek Johnson now is going to pick it up. He has both hands on the ball, but right there when his knee goes down, we can't really tell who has the ball because ultimately Wes Welker comes out of there with it. Now, how he did that, I have no idea.
And he got hurt on the play and needed some time, and back on the bench. 2nd down and 7. Manning over the middle. Decker gets free for a big gain into Chiefs territory.
This is just what makes playing against Peyton Manning in this offense so hard, because you get these pick plays going. And in man coverage, when you have to run behind the guy coming across the field, you want to say it's just not fair. There's just no way to cover him. But he gets the ball out so quickly, and that happens so fast, it's just almost impossible to cover.
Gain of 17. Decker's caught 4 for 67 tonight.
Starting to come up in some pressure sets now.
And Manning down the sideline, a little too far for Andre Caldwell. First time he's been targeted tonight. He made a great special teams play before. 2nd and 10. The Broncos 115 points in the 4th quarter this season, and the Chiefs have allowed only 17.
Well, we are right on the fringe here of field goal territory, and a field goal here makes it a 3-score game.
Walker is back in. 2nd and 10. And Manning will throw. Ball makes the catch, breaks the tackle, gets a first down. And it'll chew up some clock here. Kendrick Lewis makes the stop. Under 9 minutes to play.
Well, coming off the edge, there's Orlando Franklin getting it done again. But this has been a bit of a coming out party for Monte Ball tonight, not just with his red zone stuff, but now as a receiver as well. In a big game.
And Manning, he's so masterful at this. No huddle, but he knows it's time to chew up the clock. So he takes the play clock all the way to 1. And Monte Ball picks up a yard. He just took 40 seconds off the clock.
Yeah. And really, it's been interesting for me to watch so many defenses try and match everything Peyton's doing. Every audible, they'll move, they'll shift. The Kansas City Chiefs, they've sat in their defense, and you can do whatever you want as long as you want, and they haven't reacted to it at all. And really had a good game tonight against this high-scoring offense.
Manning 21 of 35 now. Peyton 305. Inside play fake, and then the pass is incomplete, intended for Demaryius Thomas. It'll be 3rd down and 9. Well, the one thing about Peyton tonight, if ever protection was hugely important with that high ankle sprain, tonight would be the night. Look at that. No sacks, been hit twice, hasn't been knocked down at all. They've done the job, the offensive line. Caught by Walker, and Walker's going to get hogtied before he can get the first down. Out of bounds at the 18, Brandon Flowers. And now Manning looking over to the bench saying, let's go for it. 4th and 1.
No way. No way you go for this. Maybe you try and draw him off sides here. But you have to make this a 3-score game, don't you?
You would think, but you know, I wonder if Del Rio's having a mind meld with John Fox.
John Fox might be having a mind meld of his own right now.
Foxy, what are you thinking back there?
No way. This is not happening.
And you're right. Timeout.
No way.
And it's exactly right. This is when you have to just do the math. It's a three possession game that's in play here. It's 4th down and 1. Manning's going to come over for the moment. They still haven't sent out the field goal group. Now we're going to see Peyton next week. And it's going to be in Foxborough as the field goal unit does come out now. Manning Brady, it's the Patriots and the Broncos. It's Sunday night football. All getting underway with football night in America at 7 Eastern time. So now Prater will come out. Would have died to know what John Fox was thinking.
I guarantee you. He had the clicker and he was thinking about going to some soap opera somewhere.
Yep. 36-yard field goal attempt to try to make it a 17-point game. Britton Colquitt to do the holding. And the kick is good. He kicked a screwball through the upright. 7:06 to go in the fourth. Denver 27 and Kansas City 10. What does Coach Fox say? He says, I'm enjoying this at the moment. Up by 17. And just another touchdown. 7:06 left. Kansas City down by 17, trying to stay unbeaten. Well, let's see if Kansas City can muster something and do it in a hurry. They start from the 20-yard line. 4 receivers go to the left, and you got action on the left side. You had movement in the slot by Donnie Avery. John Parrish had a busy night tonight. Had 15 accepted penalties in the game.
Delay game defense. Number 36, who was lined up within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, made an action that created the false start. 5-yard penalty. First down.
It's Kayvon Webster, and it forced Avery to move. Quarterback comparison tonight. Manning has not been on the ground. 314 yards for him. And for Alex Smith, taking his shots, had some chances, but I'll tell you what, you go back to that Sherman fumble after the Denver turnover in the first quarter. That was a big play. 1st and 5. Knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Sean Phillips, longtime San Diego Charger, picked him up in free agency, and in his 10th year in the league, having a great year.
No doubt about it, Al. He was the guy when Von Miller was out, and they've got a little injury on John Asamoah coming off, but it was Phillips who came over, and without Von Miller, they really needed to have somebody step up and get some pressure. 7.5 sacks that he's been able to take the place basically of Elvis Dumerville, who left, of course, and it has 8.5 sacks now with the Ravens, or did coming in.
2nd and 5. Smith will throw, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Dwayne Bowe, covered there by Rogers Cromartie. 3rd and 5.
But I go back to the first quarter of this game, and you know, the first time they had the penalty right off the bat, the kind of nervous start, they dropped some balls, the fumble you talked about. I thought there was an opportunity for Kansas City in this one to really jump out and play even with the Broncos, and really that first quarter has been the difference in this one.
The first quarter ended with a 10-0 Denver margin. Third and 5 to try to keep the drive alive, and they do. Fasano makes the catch, so the tight end out to the 37-yard line to move the chains, and we're down to 6:45 left in regulation.
They're letting Jeff Schwartz, who's come in for Asamoah at right guard, off the hook. They are not pressuring him at all. I think I might try a blitz or two right over number 74 and see if I couldn't take advantage of this.
Chiefs 5 wide. Smith to the outside, and it's knocked away, intended for Bowe, and Quentin Jammer, the longtime Charger, is there in his 12th year in the league.
And it's Quentin Jammer that came up with the initial hit that caused the fumble on the outside here. He's been a good one for a long time for the Kansas City Chiefs, and hasn't gotten a lot of chances to play this year, but when he has, he's been able to take advantage of it. Good to have those kind of vets around late in the year for these big games.
John Elway, another veteran pickup. Jammer and Phillips, 2 longtime San Diego Chargers, both playing well here. 2nd down and 10. Smith guns it, caught, to the 42-yard line. Donnie Avery, but a penalty.
And I thought somebody grabbed Avery just as he was making his break there. May have been Jammer.
Yeah, flag right along the sideline, right in front of the Kansas City bench.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 20, 15 yards from the end of the play. 1st and 10, Kansas City.
That's Mike Adams.
Mike Adams had a big role without Raheem Moore in there, and really he's done some nice things in man coverage.
And that's Von Miller going off again here, back to the Denver sideline. That personal foul gives Kansas City a first down at the 28-yard line. Asamoah trying to work his way back out of the field.
I bet you Tom Brady's not suffering watching Von Miller on the sideline tonight.
Smith hanging in there. The pass a little high and incomplete. Going up for it, but unable to bring it in is Dwayne Bowe. 2nd down and 10.
Now, one thing that you notice, here we go, breaking on the end cut here, about Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs, they're much more comfortable throwing the ball inside some of these little skinny posts and balls to the tight end right over the middle than he is to the outside. He's not a big strong arm guy. He's a guy that has to sort of be able to see it, deliver it quickly, on time. That's his strength.
Smith completing less than 50% of his passes tonight. 16 of 36 on 2nd down and 10. Backing up, backing away, avoiding the sack. And then just has to throw it away. 3rd down and 10.
Well, obviously the right decision. The same discussion we just had about it being a 3-score game. You have to at least knock it down to a 2-score game, which potentially could involve a field goal as well. Although this would be a big stop if Denver's defense could come up with one, because then conceivably they'd get Peyton Manning on the bench the rest of the game, not have to risk him. And remember, it was in the last 2 minutes against San Diego he got hurt.
I'm with you. I think it's a 4-down situation here, down by 17. Miller's back on the field. It's 3rd down and 10 from the 28. And they jump up front, and the play is stopped. Malik Jackson and Robert Ayers both coming across the line. Smith clapping, indicating that it should be against the defense. Then again.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 91. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's Ayers.
Well, Robert Ayers, one of those guys that really was considered a bust as well, but he's come back now in kind of a backup role, but 4.5 sacks. And I tell you, watching him on tape a week ago, he's got a little bit of his explosiveness back there. They have some good depth. Sylvester Williams, their number 1 overall pick this year, can't even get on the field.
That makes it 3rd down and 5. 4 receivers to the right, including Charles, who goes in motion. The pass is caught by McCluster. Gets some blocking, and Dexter McCluster will take the ball to the 10-yard line. So a huge conversion. Adams makes the tackle. It's going to make it 1st down. And if they spot it at the 10-yard line, and they will, 1st and goal.
You just see, just trying to get a little crowd going there. Kayvon Webster just couldn't get through to pick up McCluster, and this is really one of the better drives we've seen out of the Chiefs tonight.
Clock winding down to 5 minutes to play in the 4th. Smith, good protection, and the pass is caught, but does he come in inbounds? No. Anthony Fasano made the catch, but could not come down inbounds.
He got 1 foot down, and all he had to do was slam his heel down on the other one. This would have been a touchdown. He goes up, makes a tough catch. He's going to get 1 foot down. Now you got to take that back heel and slam it into the ground. Ooh, that's pretty close. It is.
Left down. Nope. The rest of them is out.
His hip hit that ground. That's a pretty interesting call. Andy Reid's going to say, let's take one look at that.
certainly worth a challenge. As Andy throws the flag, they'll take a peek at it upstairs.
Kansas City has challenged the previous play. Incomplete pass versus the score.
Parry to the hood. Back after this. Looking at this during the break, we think this is going to be a touchdown now because the shin or calf area goes down as well as the foot. Here's another look at Fasano in the end zone.
If the shin is down, the hip, any body part in there, the hip is down before anything goes out of bounds. You can see it pretty well from this angle here. There's space. The shin is down there. That's enough. The hip then follows, and the elbow is off the ground. Nothing out of bounds. That's a touchdown.
After reviewing the play, with clear possession, the left calf and the left hip landed in the end zone prior to the left elbow landing out of bounds to score.
So a great challenge by Reed. It works. 4:56 remaining in regulation, and with an extra point forthcoming, it'll be 27-17.
Catch a break, and now who knows? Kind of interesting. I think at this point you have to think onside kick, don't you? Even though you have all your timeouts remaining, going up against Peyton, kind of tough to assume you're going to get a 3-and-out. Decision time for Andy Reid.
Ryan Suckup to make it a 27-17 game. And he does. It's a very interesting call here for Reid. Do you onside kick it here? Dave Toub, the longtime Chicago Bears special teams coach, and he's one of the best in the league, and coming over and joining Andy Reid's staff this year.
I tell you, I do it. I go onside kick because it's a 10-point game. Even if you give up a field goal here, you're still within a 2-score game. If they score a touchdown, obviously it's going to be over. But you have to take all the shots you can to try and get back possession. This is a tough call, but I think I would go for it here and take a chance I could hold them to a field goal anyway.
Exactly what each of the special teams units are discussing right now. And in fact, some other guys may come in for Denver with the better hands, anticipating this onside kick. And they send only Holiday back, and the other 10 guys will come up near the 45-yard line.
Chiefs out in a balanced formation. Of course, you can't overload the way you used to, but you can sort of play it to one side. And a lot of teams in this situation like to do that little pooch kick right in front and make one guy make a play. They have a couple of guys right here in the center, so that one may be taken away here as well.
Got some receivers there as well. You got Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker are out there along the line for Denver. But Reid elects to kick it away and give Manning the ball at the 20-yard line.
Can't argue. It was one of those kind of decisions, but now pressure's on, and you've got the best offense and one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game, and you really need a 3-and-out. Of course, they've played to this defense all season long. Why not?
Great job by that offensive line for Denver tonight. You saw that Kansas City with 36 sacks. That's 4 a game, leading the league coming in. And Manning's barely been touched tonight. Hasn't been sacked at all. Comes up in the pistol on first down. Give it to Moreno, and he picks up 5 yards, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Wes Welker is back in the locker room being evaluated for concussion, Allen. For the Chiefs, right guard John Asamoah just went to the locker room. He's questionable with a calf.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Meanwhile, Kansas City has just taken a timeout here after a 5-yard gain. It'll be 2nd down and 5. The Denver Broncos, one of the original AFL teams, and their owner over the last 30 years, Pat Bowlen. And there he is before the game. 30th season, as the owner and CEO of the team acknowledging the crowd, and they acknowledged him because he picked up his 300th career win as an owner, regular and postseason combined in their last outing, and that's a pretty good track record over 30 years. 2 Super Bowls along the way as well. On 2nd and 5, this is Moreno, and if Kansas City takes a timeout here, there's John Elway. It will be 3rd down, and they will, and this is a huge play coming up. Offensive line here, Chris.
Yeah, this has been, in my mind, the difference in the game. Chris Clark, Orlando Franklin have done well enough against the best tandem of pass rushers in the NFL. Those 2 guys, Tamba Hali and Justin Houston, have been dominating all season long, but Chris Clark, the backup to Ryan Clady, has been good enough here tonight. I think he's played pretty well out.
No doubt. That defense needs to play very well on this particular play. This is huge. Down to 1 timeout, 3rd and 4. Need to get the ball back in a hurry. Manning rolling. Throwing. Caught by Decker, but Decker is going to get forced out of bounds just short of the 1st down by Marcus Cooper.
Well, this is going to be interesting because he reached the ball towards that 1st down marker.
Spotted a half-yard shy.
And where did he go out of bounds? He's reaching the ball before he truly hits anything out of bounds. Let's take a look. Nothing's out of bounds, and that ball looks like it's across the 30.
Enough to overturn is the question. This is the perfect illustration of the phrase you've heard a million times: indisputable visual evidence.
And for John Fox,
it's challengeable. Del Rio will challenge it. So either it's going to be a 1st down, which would be huge, or a 4th down with the clock stopped because he went out of bounds, and Kansas City figures to get the ball back.
Forward progress spot in relationship to the line out of bounds.
Very interesting.
Well, really nothing to lose there.
It's it's just very difficult to overturn what the ruling is on the field when you look at it from that angle.
Well, there's no doubt that the ball is beyond that marker. It's just a matter of where it's considered out of bounds.
It's almost like a mosaic. I mean, you have to look at a couple of angles and figure it out. And very often that doesn't get overturned when you have to look at it from 3 different positions. One more look at it, but as I say, it's got to be indisputable. Where is it indisputable?
Well, there's nothing out of bounds at that point, and I think that's indisputable that the ball is beyond that line. Now, where does it end up out of bounds, and when does it count as being out of bounds, I guess is the question. I was told at one time is that there's like 2 different rules for where you mark the ball. One when you're running right along the boundary vertically, and another when you're coming at an angle. So this is an interesting call.
The whole thing is where the ball is when he's out of bounds. When he crosses the plane of the boundary, where is the ball?
Yeah, I think as long as he's in bounds and that ball is beyond that marker, this should be a 1st down. We'll see.
No, John
After
Perry,
reviewing
there
the play,
he is.
receiver stuck the ball forward, the 30 and 1/4 yard line. It'll be 1st and 10.
The 30 and 1/4 yard line.
There you go. Jack Del Rio going with his gut. You know what was interesting about talking with Jack is how he was saying he made a phone call to Bruce Arians about being an interim coach. Remember that whole conversation?
Right.
And just said, I just wanted to double check and make sure I was doing everything right, and really everything he kind of had planned and was doing is exactly what Bruce Arians was telling him. Of course, had to fill in for Chuck Pagano in Indy.
He did a great job and led to the head coaching job that Bruce now has with the 6-4 Arizona Cardinals. First down to the 30-yard line. And now here's Moreno again. Kansas City is down to 1 timeout, and then they'll stop the clock at the 2-minute warning. And a little roughhousing ensues.
Now you got to stop if you're the Denver Broncos. You can't go back 15 yards. I don't care if the guy tomahawk chalked. You can't get a penalty here. John Fox with the clicker in his hand again.
So third.
Chiefs just used their
Kansas City.
final timeout.
It's been a good game. I tell you, I think this really sets up the rest of the season in this division as being very interesting. The Kansas City Chiefs, regardless of what happens out here tonight, have traveled into this stadium and put on a performance that really was just a few mistakes away from being a potential win here. I mean, I just go back to that first quarter where maybe the scene was a little too big for them at first, but a game that they're going to use going forward here.
Had their chances, no question about it. They go home next week again. They play San Diego in Kansas City, and Denver goes to New England, and then the two teams meet, Kansas City and Denver, and Kansas City in 2 weeks. So a long way from determining the 1 seed or the 5 seed.
This was a big day in the NFL today. A lot of big games, a lot of close games.
False start, offense, number 68, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Left guard Zane Beatles.
The Pro Bowler. We call Zane the Peyton Manning of the offensive line. Kind of keeps them all straight up there. But that one didn't help.
19 accepted penalties in the game, 11 against Denver. 2nd and 13. Manning's pass caught up to the 31-yard line. That's Demarius Thomas. And that'll make it 3rd down and 9 for the Broncos.
Boy, that was tight coverage by Marcus Cooper on the outside, number 31. And in this situation, Peyton Manning can get that thing in there in the tightest of spots. Talking to Bob Sutton, the defensive coordinator, he said, honestly, there are times I tell my defensive backs, I don't know what to tell you. It's just that good.
Manning taking that play clock all the way down. Trying to convert a 3rd and 8. Stepping away, throws, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Demarius Thomas. So that's a good break for Kansas City because the clock stops at 3:51 and they're going to get the ball back.
May have been the first time that ankle came into play a little bit. Good step up by Peyton Manning to get away from the pressure by Hale, but then just couldn't make this pivot and throw back going against the grain. I'm sure that really torqued that high ankle sprain, so the Chiefs are going to have a chance.
Fifth punt of the night for Britton Colquitt. His brother has punted 7 times. On the other side, the 23-yard line. The cluster looking for room and then gets upended as he reaches the 30-yard line. Monte Ball makes the tackle. 3:38 remaining in the 4th.
Nobody ever talks about special teams, but the coverage units tonight on the punt coverage for the Denver Broncos has been sensational. It's just been sensational. That was a big opportunity. There was room there for Dexter McCluster.
No timeouts for KC. Of course, you're in a situation right now where you go either way here. Touchdown, field goal, preferable, of course. But if you have to go field goal, touchdown, whatever it takes. First things first. At least try to get into field goal range. Smith will throw, and reaching back for it and making the catch. Great catch was McCluster along the sideline. Rogers Cromartie right there with him.
That was amazing. See if he gets this other foot down. Sure does. What a fantastic catch that was against the best coverage guy of the Denver Broncos. Nice throw by Alex Smith, too.
And it stops the clock with 3:32 from the pistol. Fake to Charles. Smith, he's going to take off, and Alex Smith runs to the 45-yard line. Tackled there by Sean Phillips to come up without a huddle. A little more than 3 minutes to play. It's 2nd down and 4. 4-man rush. Chase throws and just has to throw it away to make it 3rd down and 4.
Now that time pressure inside flushed him out of the pocket. Sean Phillips one more time getting in there, and you could tell both these teams getting a little tired at this point. Offensive linemen standing up. Defensive linemen don't have quite the same pop. This has been an exhausting pace to this game.
This will be the 70th play of the night run by Kansas City.
2 backups on the right side now for this offensive line. Denver needs to recognize it and put some pressure on them.
Blitz coming. Pass has gotten away. It's incomplete. Dwayne Bowe, the intended receiver. Rogers Cromartie with the coverage. 4th down.
Dwayne Bowe working against the best for the Broncos, and look at the speed. That's the difference. The makeup speed. Dominic Rogers Cromartie just simply much faster than Bowe is, and he was able to catch him despite the fact Bowe got early position.
4th and 4. Smith to the outside, too low, and the Broncos think they've intercepted it. Doesn't matter though. Bruton may have come up with the ball, but regardless, the pass is incomplete at worst. And they turn the ball over on downs.
Well, they go right back to it here. Try to go back shoulder again, and Dominic Rogers Cromartie. I'm not so sure that ball ever did hit the ground, but really from the Broncos standpoint, they didn't want it anyway.
So Denver winds up with the ball at the 46-yard line. Manning will have to run 2 plays before the 2-minute warning in all likelihood, and unless this one takes more than 10 seconds, which it won't. And Moreno picks up 3. And it'll be 2nd down. So they'll have to run 1 more play, and then the clock will stop at the 2-minute warning, but a 10-point lead. As they look at Fisher on the sideline.
Yeah, and that's an interesting situation now. We see Fisher out of the game. We see Asamoah out of the game. 2 backups in. There are no more offensive linemen, but you've got to think moving forward, how are those guys coming out of this game?
15 straight regular season games, scoring 25 or more points. NFL record, the equivalent of almost 1 full season. And now you have a false start.
False start. Offense, number 81. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Joel Dreesen, the number 2 tight end.
Well, starting to get back to full strength a little bit for them. Getting Joel Dreesen back in there. I'm sure the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be disappointed with the result. But I think maybe this is one that they needed. You know, sometimes they say horse races, you needed that race. They may have needed this race. They may have needed coming into this atmosphere.
And especially with the Arrowhead crowd and full throat in a couple of weeks when the Denver Broncos come into Kansas City. 2-minute warning in Denver with the score 27-17 Broncos. Third down and 12. concerned about chewing up at least 40 seconds. Moreno is right there. Peyton, as you look at right there, he's been kept very clean. You know, our man Andy Freeland just reminded me today's the 45th anniversary of the Heidi game.
Is that right?
On NBC. So don't touch that.
Don't touch that dial. You never know. That game kind of changed things in football, didn't it? It's like
and
nobody was allowed to leave any game whatsoever again.
Changed a few things in the broadcasting land as well. Britton Colquitt, they'll wait for the clock to go all the way down and take the timeout right here with 1:15 remaining. So Jack Del Rio is on his way to a second win in the stead of John Fox. And again, with John, we don't know exactly when Coach Fox can get back on the sideline. He hopes to get back to Denver in a week or a week and a half, and doctors will determine that. There's John Elway, of course, and you know, with Foxy, it's going to be tough to be back here and be living 5 minutes from the office and keep him away.
Yeah, well, that's what he was telling us, right? He was like, hey, I wanted to come back, and John Elway told me, no way, you stay put, because I know what's going to happen. If you get within 5 minutes of the office, you're going to come in, and that's not in your best interest.
Nose down kick, unless you get some nice little backspin on it.
Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, flag is down. That took 11 seconds. And the spot is the 13. And John Parry has spent a lot of time in your living room tonight. Wherever you watch the game. Very few people watch it in the living room. I don't know why we say that.
Yeah. Your iPad now.
Player out of bounds voluntarily. Kicking team. Left gunner. Kansas City has elected 5-yard penalty. Will re-kick. Replay 4th down.
And now Peyton Manning, one of the records that is in sight for him is most touchdown passes in a season. So he and Brady, in the year Brady had 50 to set the record, each had 33. But in game 10, Tom threw 5 to give him 38. Peyton with 1 tonight, 34. So he's on a pace right now where 34 through 10 games would get him right around that mark. Brady wound up in his last 6 games that year throwing only 12. So I think my money would be on Manning right now.
Yeah, the only statistic that matters tonight is that guy never got knocked down. And at this point in the season, another week of Peyton Manning not hurting that ankle just cannot be underestimated, the value of what's happened here tonight on that front, and get the win.
And a fair catch is called for at the 21-yard line. I think I would have declined the penalty if I was KC and gotten those 11 seconds back.
Yeah, you have to go fast at this point, obviously. And while maybe not a Hail Mary, something close to it, because you're going to have to complete a ball, get your team up, stop the clock, kick a field goal, get an onside kick, and throw a couple more Hail Marys. So there's a lot of work left to be done without any timeouts.
Smith tonight, 19 of 43, so well under 50%. Broncos pass defense has really steadied in the last few weeks. Pass out in the flat, even tackled inbounds is Jamal Charles to keep that clock going.
Now, that's a mistake.
I mean, really,
you don't think about it, but you almost have to throw a Hail Mary in that situation and take your chances.
Right.
At some point, it's got to go 50 yards, and you got to stop the clock and kick a field goal.
Instead, you got a pass that loses a yard. You're taking a ton of time off the clock. Smith running around.
Throw it.
And deep downfield and almost intercepted at the 45-yard line. Rogers Cromartie, who played for Andy Reid in Philadelphia, got another penalty marker down.
Ineligible player downfield. Offense number 79. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That'll be the 9th penalty on Kansas City tonight. 13 against Denver and 15 seconds remaining in the game.
It wasn't the kind of night they hoped for from the pass rushers of the Kansas City Chiefs. They were really hoping they got to knock Peyton Manning around and just never got that job done.
Broncos will go to 9-1, which means they will have won 20 of their last 21 regular season games. They only lost to Indianapolis. That's Sean Phillips right there to swallow up Charles, and that'll take us to the end of the game where the Denver Broncos never trailed and are tied for first place in the AFC West with Kansas City with a mark of 9 wins and 1 loss. 27-17, the